Imagine this scenario. The user connects their wallet to our platform. We make sure that the user has an NFT from our collection, and we provide access into the platform. The user has now the capability of creating their own user profile in our application. It's going to add first name, last name, username, and email address. The moment that user hits the update profile, we are going to create and assign a crypto wallet. This is not the MetaMask wallet. We are going to generate a new ERC-based wallet and associate that to each user account that it's created in the platform. And you might say, why do we need that? Well, a lot of reasons. The user will not have to deal with MetaMask transactions. The user doesn't have to worry about using the platform with a browser-based wallet, other than making sure that the NFT that the user is holding, it's in the wallet. That's all. So the user will have its internal wallet, just like a centralized exchange. So then they can interact internally in the application. Not only that, we can also send a recurring passive income into that wallet in the form of ERC20 tokens every week, every day, every month. To every single user, they are going to have tokens available to use in our platform for any service that we offer. Okay? So we are doing all this with the magic of Web3, a smart contract, and IPFS. Let's go. Let's start working with Web3, and let's start getting more familiar with what other things can we do with Web3 when it comes to developing applications. In this video training tutorial that I will be conducting, it's going to show you that we can use Web3 for anything that we imagine. So what I'm going to do, we are going to build a web front end. So then we can connect everything. We can connect the smart contract. We can connect the buttons that will allow us to upload data into IPFS. And also, I am going to develop a section in the web front end that will provide the end user the amount of custom ERC20 tokens that the internal Web3 wallet, let me go back, that the platform wallet it's holding on their behalf, on the user's behalf. So let me give you a little bit of background into that idea. I thought, why don't we do something out of the common application in Web3? Let's go ahead and interact with an ERC20 smart contract in the sense that I will be taking out of the user's duty to connect the MetaMask wallet, to connect the browser-based wallet to interact with a Web3 platform. Instead, what am I going to do? I will be natively interacting with the blockchain using a wallet that we will generate on the fly the moment the user creates its user account. The moment the user registers in our platform, I am going to be generating an ERC20 wallet, or basically an ERC wallet. So we are building this ERC wallet to provide the end user the capability of storing everything that the user will be interacting with in our platform. So what better use case than to provide the end user that ERC wallet, so then they can use that to navigate on the platform, to interact with the platform without the need to be dealing with their MetaMask wallet. And you might say, well, yeah, I understand that, but how are we going to let the user control that wallet? That's not a problem. What we're going to do with JavaScript, we are building a function that will allow the user to transfer outside of the platform onto its own MetaMask all the tokens that the user is holding in that particular wallet. This is a centralized wallet. Basically, what it does, it's no different from a centralized exchange. Do you know that when you log into a centralized exchange or you make an account for the first time, you will be issued centralized exchange wallets, basically in the participating blockchains, or in this case, to trade with, okay? So we're doing basically the same thing. So you are going to see how can we make this a reality. What am I going to do? Number one, I am going to ask the users for the first name, last name, username, and email address, okay? That's step one. Step number two, we are going to send that information to IPFS. IPFS is going to provide me back, it's going to spit out a CID. Basically, this is the identifier of that IPFS file or the location for the user's data. Okay, so now I got the user with the information in our portal page, or in this case, in our profile page. User typed everything, logged in, generated the account. That detail will be sent to IPFS. IPFS will generate a CID based on the upload that we just did. And then I got to grab that CID and I got to send that CID to a smart contract. Why? Because I need to somehow identify that user the moment the user authenticates their MetaMask wallet. Okay, so when the user connects their MetaMask wallet, I got the MetaMask address. I am going to find in the smart contract that we are going to write in this training, I am going to find the information regarding that particular wallet. And one of the items that I will be storing in the smart contract is the CID. The CID to the IPFS location, the location of the user data. Once I get that information back and I query IPFS, I will then get the first name, last name, email, username, anything I want, and I will be able to show that on screen. I will be able to show that in the web interface, okay? Once we're done with that, I then will generate an ERC wallet, and we will store the ERC wallet in the smart contract database, okay? The same smart contract that we're using to store the CID information for that particular wallet. We are also storing the extra wallet, but this is a wallet that the user has no control of. The only control that that user has with that wallet is interaction inside the platform. Let's say the user wants to withdraw any funds out of that wallet, no problem. We will provide the function in the web interface, okay, to do so. So we are going to code all that. Once we're done with that, I have an amazing idea. Why don't we give the benefit to the user or the bonus to that user? If the user registers in the portal, they are going to obtain 250 ERC20 tokens. And this will be tokens that we will deploy out of a smart contract. We will build a smart contract, an ERC20 smart contract, straightforward token smart contract. And from that token smart contract, we are going to mint ERC20s, and we will send those tokens right away to the wallet that we have generated. Boom. Okay, so we're not just doing the wallet, we are actually doing the first transactions ourselves. We are going to call the ERC20 token smart contract, and we will tell the token, hey, send me 250 tokens to this wallet. The wallet will be the newly generated wallet and assigned to that user. The moment the user logs in into the profile, they're going to see the 250 tokens in the status page, or basically in the profile page, okay? We have a lot to do. It's going to be an amazing, amazing video training tutorial, and I hope that you learn as much as you can on this one, because after this particular video training series, I am going to build a DAO. We're going to build a voting DAO. If you don't know what a DAO is, it's a decentralized autonomous organization. It's basically an entity that is conformed of all the members in that particular platform, or basically in this particular organization. There's no like centralized management. There's not a group of individuals that manage it, but every single member is part of the org, and they can also provide their feedback, vote, approve, deny, or even propose changes onto the platform. But for that, we need to build a DAO. We need to build the DAO platform, so then everyone that is member of that platform can vote and can submit proposals. And that's the plan. You hold an NFT from our collection, you have the rights to do proposals, to do voting. So we are going to be doing that. That will be done after this particular training series. And I will be breaking this into multiple small videos because we need to understand this from start to end, okay? After we're done with the DAO, we will go ahead and start working with the ERC20 lottery. So I will be building an ERC20 based lottery. So then the same users that we have in the Web3 interface, or the Web3 application that we are going to be building right now, they can also play in the ERC20 lottery. How amazing is that? Alrighty, so let's go ahead. Video number one, we are building the web front end to connect all this amazing application together. Let's go ahead. Let's make this happen. Okie dokie. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do, we are going to build a brand new project. Once we build this new Nextjs project, I'm going to go ahead and install the dependencies, and we will bring up the front end, and then we will configure all the graphical aspect. We will add the input fields. We will add all the graphical aspect of the web user profile page, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do first, I am going to create the project, obviously. So we're going to go ahead and type npx create next app. Let's call this Web3 profiles. Okay, cool. Press enter. It's asking me because this is Next.js version 13. No, I am not going to use TypeScript. Yes, I will use ESLint. And we're done. Awesome. All right, so now I'm going to navigate to the project folder. So cd Web3 profiles. Okay, npm I Axios. Okay, cool. And now npm I ethers. I'm going to show you another trick. If you don't know, you can install all dependencies all in one shot. I can do that. So I can do npm i3 model, and then I can press space. I can install something else. In this case, I need to install the IPFS HTTP client. And I also want to install SF font. That's the font. And let me find the Bootstrap parameter. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's find this one here. So it's going to be this right here. Okay, copy. There we go. All good. Okay, so let's go ahead and install all that. Awesome. Okay, awesome. So now I will just do npm run dev. Let's build this into development mode. Let's bring it online and we should be good to go. So let me go ahead and navigate to the new instance, localhost 3000. And sure enough, this is what we should see. And by the way, it's looking white by default. This splash page is black, but it's looking white because I installed Bootstrap. So it will definitely change the styling. So once you install that library, it just basically changes the styling in Next.js. Okay, cool. Now what I'm going to do, I am going to first add some custom CSS styling. So I am not going to go too deep into styling. As you've seen in previous videos, I don't go deep into styling. So what I'm going to do, I have some styling that I did. The background, I did the font, I did the spaces, the layout, all that. So I am going to be importing a CSS file that I used. Obviously, you will have that available in the GitHub, so you don't need to worry about like coding that, okay? So what I'm going to do, we're going to open a Visual Studio Code, open my working folder, Web3 profiles, there we go. And sure enough, okay, so this is basically the project. And this is the page that we are seeing right now. This splash page is basically the index file. Okay, so what I'm going to do, as I mentioned, I'm going to create a CSS file. This is basically the background, the styling in Next.js with Bootstrap. I did a custom CSS. Just type this custom CSS, and I'm going to go ahead and paste. And basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace my background. I'm going to add this container sizing and the margin and whatnot. Okay, cool. All right, so that's there. I'm going Control S. Awesome. Now what I have to do, I have to go ahead and enable Bootstrap in this project. So what I'm going to do first, I have to import the Bootstrap library under my app. I have to import that Bootstrap module, so then everything starts formatting in Bootstrap, okay? Okay, so I will go ahead and replace the default one with the Bootstrap import. This is the CSS Bootstrap formatter, basically the styling for our front end, okay? And now what I have to do, I'm gonna show you right here. I am going to wrap, in Next.js, I can wrap the application, or basically the front end, with a styler. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap it with backstyle, so the entire app uses the same background. That is one way of doing it. I know there's multiple other ways, but again, I'm not going deep into styling. Cool, so let's go ahead into the app. Okay, so in order for me to do something that will be applied across the entire Next.js framework, like across the entire app, before it gets rendered, you have to add this to the app, the underscore app.js, okay? So what I want to do, I am going to add the return right here. And then what I'm going to do instead, I am going to remove this. And then I'm going to add the parentheses. Cool. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to just close the return right here. Perfect. And now what I'm going to do, I will be importing the custom CSS file that I just created so that I can invoke the back style in app.js, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do, I am going to import the custom CSS, just copy. Okay, cool. So I got that. Now what I'm going to do, I will be, check this out. I will be opening a div. So I'm going to do a div, and then I am going to say class name equals back style. Okay. So what am I doing with this? I am effectively wrapping the entire component. This is the entire Next.js component inside this back style, okay? So check this out. I am going to show you, this is how it looks now before applying the changes. I am going to, now that I wrap this into this class name, which is back style, if we go to the custom CSS, this basically is the reference, it's the background that I just created. So go back to go back to app.js and then Control S, and let's go back and see how it looks. There you go. So now the background is purple because I did that purple-ish color into the app. Okay, cool. We're good so far. Awesome. Next. All right. So now let's work with index. So the first thing that I got to do in index, okay, I'm going to show you right now. So let me go ahead and take this out so then you can see the full format. So what I'm going to do here, I am going to first of all remove all this because we're not going to be using anything from the default splash, okay? So let me do this. I am going to delete everything here except the return, right? And obviously we have to provide something in the return, but I will be building the entire page. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a div, right? Class name, and then we will call this, I'm going to show you right now, custom container. So we are going to format the index, this page, with a max width of 1200 pixels, okay? So this is the maximum it can expand. So what I want to do here, class name container, okay? And then we will have the closing bracket. Awesome. So now we have this wrapping or the opening and closing div for the container. And that should be it. I am not going to use anything of here because none of that is going to be applicable to our page. Cool. So from the packages that I just installed, I am going to bring my font because I want to use the font. So it's import SF font. There you go. Now I'm going to import also Axios because we're going to use Axios to make API calls. Okay, cool. And also, let me see what else do I have to import. No, that's about it for now. Okay, we're just building the front end. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna Control S. Let's take a look and see how that looks now. Nothing. I just removed the entire front end. Okay. Now let's look at a working page. So I'm going to show you how we are going to work with this. Okay, so this is the working project. So what I'm going to do first, I am going to bring up pictures, right? So the logos. So basically what I'm going to do, let me just bring this right here. Copy, public, and let's go ahead and paste. Cool. Now I got them and sure enough, they're there. Okay, awesome. So now I can go ahead and build the top portion of the page, okay? So this is the previous box. So this is the previous project. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead, okay? Cool deal. And now if I go to the new project, actually, this is a good thing. There's nothing. Okay, awesome. All right, awesome. So let's start with the logos. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add some formatting on top of the container. right? And then obviously because we opened this div, we haven't closed the div, so we have to make sure that we close it. Okay, boom, closed, no errors, looking good, awesome. All right, so now the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna open the main section, right? And this will be after container. By the way, everything will be provided to you in the GitHub. Everything will be all done, ready to go. Okay, div, image, div. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to break down the formatting here. Okay, so I need to close the main because I haven't closed the main section right here. So let me go under div, so I have to close it after this div. Okay, so I got this one div, two divs. Actually, there's another div here, so I need to add main, right? And then I am going to add another div. Let's see, main opening, main closing, and then this will be a div. There we go. Awesome. Alrighty, so I closed the main, and let's take a look and see. Okay, before I show you, this is what I pasted. I created the I added position Y, so this is the angle. Basically, you have X and Y, so basically those are your angles in the front end. I got a formatter called text center. Basically, this is another class in CSS. And then I have the column 7. This is the gap in the column. I have a video that I'm going to leave the description. I go into like more details on when it comes to formatting HTML. So basically what I did was a column, and I'm going to group all the logos. So you can see the end to the chat logo right here. I'm going to add this here, end to the chat, the Dex, the Lotto, and I start with edit your Web3 logo, and you're going to see this now. So I'm going to Control S, and let's go back. I'm going to show you. There we go. Awesome. So what I ended up doing, basically, let me just lower this right here. So you can see right here, for those that want to learn a little bit more about styling in CSS, it's not boring. It's not easy. Like I'm telling you, it's not easy. It's actually very frustrating at the beginning when you try to make a responsive site. By the way, this is fully responsive. So you can run this in a mobile device, and everything should line, up, down, right? So everything should format correctly. Okay, so let me go back. There we go. Cool. So now you can see the first image and to the chat, and I have a maximum width or a width of 160. This is a static width and static height of 160, 130. And this goes to the second logo, third logo, and finally the section where we are going to start configuring the profile. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we got edit your Web3 profile. Cool. Let's now add the first section. It's going to be the section where the user can upload the picture of the profile. So like the user wants to add an avatar, add a profile picture, they can do so. So we will provide that connectivity, that button that will just do the upload to IPFS. And also we'll display the picture in the site once it gets the information from IPFS. Boom. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and do that. What I'm going to do, I finalize here div h1, div. Okay, so now I have to start another section, paste the entire thing so we don't waste too much time. Okay, so this looks good. Let's see how that goes. And let me know in the comments if you want to go more in detail with styling. I can do a video on it. Again, that's not my focus. My focus is blockchain, as you know. But if you do want to get yourself, more familiar with styling, I can do a video. That's fine. It should, it's going to give you a starting point. I am not by any means an expert in front end styling. Okay. All right. Cool. So I'm going to explain to you. This is a lot going on here. So we have to close. Okay. And the cool thing is actually tells you the closing notification right here. So after div below main, I can add another div and we should be good. Cool. All right. Awesome. So let's see. Okay, so we got the profiles. That was the end of what was left. So now on the left side right here, we should see the profile picture section. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm going to explain to you how that goes. I have a form. So basically in the form, I can group multiple things, multiple attributes or items that I need to validate from a user perspective. Let me explain. The form will have a couple of sections that the user must provide input or else the function is not going to run. Why we do that? Because we don't want to be uploading empty space onto IPFS. So we have to require that the user types something. If the return is empty, it's going to say the field is empty. I am not going to let you upload anything, okay? It's a way to protect the application, basically. Okay, so now what I ended up doing, I added a card, and then inside the card, we are going to add the IPFS logo next to the avatar. So basically it says that this picture is in IPFS. Okay, now this is what I want you to pay attention to, okay? Every time that you see an ID, listen carefully. Every time that you see an ID, I am calling a DOM, an HTML DOM, so I can pass values to and render and display those values. So let's say you want your application to behave. For example, someone presses a button, you want to show please stand by in the HTML code. That's how you pass that. You build a function on the button. When you connect that button to that function, you're going to have a document element. And then you specify what kind of element it's ID, it's name, whatever is the case. And then you can pass data to that and then display that in HTML. That's basically how it works. So I have a couple of things. I have one here that says display pic. When we build the JavaScript function, you're going to see this live in action, okay? But you have to pay attention to those IDs because that's where we are going to pass the data, okay? Next, file URL. Okay. So this, we have to remove this because this is the actual image path to this file URL, but I don't have a variable created yet. So I haven't done the function to do this. I am just doing the front end, okay? So I'm going to remove this, but this is where we are going to pass the URL to HTML so it renders and displays the profile picture. This is basically it. It's the source. The source matches to file URL, which is a use state variable. This is how we gain that information once we make the call to the IPFS blockchain, in this case, the API call. Okay, cool, done, awesome. Next thing, we are going to remove this again. So when we are ready to go ahead and start uploading to IPFS, the input type file, what it's going to tell HTML, hey, expect to open the local user storage. In this case, the working folder, the documents folder, and find or expect the user to provide you the file. So the moment I add this input and I declare this input to be type, and I say file, the HTML code will understand this and it will give you a browse button. And you're going to see this now, okay? And you're going to see this working, okay? The only thing that I cannot pass is the on-chain because I don't have this function built yet. We have to build the function, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove that for now. And let's see what else, okay? So this is, you're going to see this entire thing here. And I have rank. I want to make sure I don't have more variables that I'm passing. Yes, I do have one. If I save it with the variable and there's nothing associated, it's going to error out. It's not going to render, okay? So I think we're good. That's it. And I'm going to tell you basically the ID, what I was passing. Let me just go back, undo. What I was passing right here is NFT ID, which is the ID of the NFT that the user is holding on the wallet. Just as a reference that, hey, you are owning this NFT, okay? And we will require the user to have an NFT from a collection that we specify, okay? Cool. Control S, let's go back and see how that looks. There you go, awesome. So let me break it down to you. We got right here, right? Let me go back up, Boom. Let me show you what this looks like. Let me just go back here. Okay, so I got the image. Image is IPFS, and you can see right here, the IPFS, it's basically this logo right here. Right here, there's nothing in there because I am not passing the value of the variable. Remember, I removed that because it was going to error out, okay? Now I have the browse button. Remember what we just mentioned, that when you do an input and you call this input, declare the input to be type file, it's going to generate or it's going to render the browse button. If we click the browse button, boom, it opens the file upload action in your browser, okay? Good to know, good to know. So now when I browse and I select the picture, right? What am I supposed to do and what you and I are supposed to do? We have to build the function so then we can capture that file, send it to IPFS, generate the CID, send the CID to the IPFS storage, and we will see that picture live in action. And I did a rank. So let me explain to you. This is when I'm crazy thinking about ideas. I love to think about ideas and stuff that we can do with Web3 and blockchain. One of the things that I was thinking, I'm like, why don't we set some sort of ranking for each user? Just like a subscriber count, just like a follower count. Let's say the user is very involved in the platform. Every action that the user does or every like that someone else gives to that user, then it goes up in the rank. So we have to build a formula to calculate that and define that. But this is a placeholder for you to figure that one out. Probably in the near future, I will be working with this, okay? And finally, I gave the user this box right here, which you can see right here, the NFT. You can see NFT here, you can see ID. So what I'm going to do here, I am expecting the user to have an NFT in their wallet that belongs to our collection. And what I'm going to show you, this is your NFT passport. I call it passport because you are not going to be allowed to access this portal unless you hold an NFT. And that means that that's your password, and this is the NFT ID that is on the wallet, okay? Good so far. Awesome, let's continue. Let's make it happen. Okay, and rank. Let me talk about rank. So rank, basically, I was thinking one of my crazy ideas was to put a ranking to each user. So very similar to YouTube, very similar to social media where you have followers, subscribers, or you have, positions in ranking based on your activity. Let's do the same. Let's add a ranking based on user activity. If the user is highly active in the platform, we will have a rank ID. So I just did that placeholder for a future use case. So probably in the near future, I am going to be using this to rank the user based on activity, based on the amount of likes that the user obtains, etc. Okay? All right, cool. And finally, NFT password. So NFT password, it's basically a placeholder so I can display the NFT ID that the user is holding in the wallet, which means it's the passport. If you don't have an NFT from the collection, you're not going to be able to access the platform. So that's why I call it the NFT passport. Okay, so I will be displaying the NFT ID of the user right there. Cool. Now let's continue. So we got that. Now what we need to add, let's add the profile itself. Let's add the section where the user is going to add the first name, last name, username, and email address. Okay, and we will break that down. I'm going to go ahead and control paste. Cool. Awesome. And I still need to close it down probably because it's not closed completely. Let's see why. Should be good now. Okay. And okay. So what I'm going to do, as I mentioned, another color. This is the button to update the profile. So when we build that function, this is the function in the application, by the way, the update profile function that we are going to be building. It's basically where all the magic happens. The user adds the information. We call IPFS. IPFS gets the CID. We then send the CID to the smart contract and we update everything, okay? So because I don't have that coded, that's why it's going to error out. So we are just going to remove it. And by the way, you don't have to do this in the file that I will be providing to GitHub. I will strongly recommend that you build this project and add the file, even though that we're not going to be like you don't have to build this from scratch, because I'm just going to give you this template pre-built so you can follow along. I still will recommend you to do it. This is the only way that you're going to learn. If you wait until the end of the video and just use the files, you're not actually learning. You're just using what it was provided. Like ideally, the best way to learn is by making mistakes, to be honest. That's the only way that you will learn, because you have to figure out what I did wrong and you have to fix it. And that's how you learn, okay? And sure enough, finally, we got the profile info. So we got the profile info, the title. So what I ended up doing, I'm going to show you something very cool. Be below profile info, every time that the user updates the profile, I am going to add a DOM element. So then I can pass, hey, updating profile, hey, profile updated. So we give that information to the end user, okay? So let's go up to the, profile info. And you can see here another DOM element. So in this case, display update change. You're going to see this. As a matter of fact, at the end of this video, I am going to use a sample so you can see how can we update that and see a reaction or see the action upon it, okay? So I am going to be displaying the status on the update. So the user is aware that the function is running, okay? And then we are adding 4 placeholders, 1 for each item, okay? Let's go to those placeholders so you understand what am I going to ask. So you can see the label for the first name, okay? And you can see something here. This is form control. So form control is a way for me to confirm that the user indeed typed something. If the user returned the information empty, I am not going to run the function. I am expecting the user to input something, okay? So it's basically a require. If the input has nothing, I am going to return back onto the HTML code, hey, first name is required. You haven't added a first name. And I'm expecting a text, okay? So I'm expecting that to be the first name, okay? And then I need to obtain the name, right? And then send that to the function, to the JavaScript function, so that we can send that data to the smart contract and IPFS. How am I going to fetch that? We have the ID of first, okay? So we have the ID of first, the ID will be passed to the function, and then we will send that to IPFS. That's how we do this upload, okay? Same goes with last name. It's basically a copy paste. So we have form control, type text, ID last. So that's the value that I will be passing to IPFS, okay? And the username, and finally, the email. So we are actually expecting that in the front end, okay? And then ultimately the update profile, but I'm going to show you back. So basically, once I fill all this information in, I am going to click the update profile and I will run all those functions. I will just send the information to IPFS, call the smart contract, updates the smart contract, and such. However, we are going to add one magic function, which is we need to provide the wallet to the user that logs for the first time, okay? When I update the profile, if this user is a brand new user, I am going to be expecting a response from the blockchain that there's no CID for that user, which means that I will assume that this is a new account. So I am going to proceed to create this new wallet, build it, okay? So you're gonna see this, all right? So next thing, I am now going to add the section where we are going to add the option to the user to migrate the account to a different wallet. This is not the internal wallet, this is the MetaMask wallet. So the user is going to have the capability of moving the wallet to a new MetaMask. Let's say the user wants to replace the MetaMask wallet. We will provide that capability so that when the user inputs the new wallet, as a matter of fact, I'm going to add this to HTML so I can explain it a little bit better. And then once we're done with that, we will have the end of the function or the end of the front end, which should be good, okay? So let me add this. I'm going to explain to you right now. So I got this, right? Let's see what am I expecting here. We need one more. There we go, awesome. Okay, so let me go back. So when the user provides the input, right? And by the way, as I mentioned, I have to remove all the variables because I don't have the function. It's going to error out. It's not going to let me render the site. So I'm going to remove this for now, right? We got pay wallet right here. This is also out. So I'm going to explain to you what this means. Okay, we're going to add the update wallet buttons. So let me go ahead here, Control S, let's take a look. Oh, perfect, awesome. All right, so, okay, so as I was explaining to you, we will have a section in the front end to input the personal wallet, okay? Which means that if the user decides to migrate the MetaMask to a new MetaMask, we will provide the capability of migrating the account to that new wallet. And also in the same function, I am going to allow the user to migrate the NFT. Remember, the moment the user decides to move to a new personal wallet, the user must have an NFT in that new wallet, okay? So this function, it's not only going to migrate all this information to a new wallet, but it's also going to migrate at least one NFT. If the user has multiple NFTs, perfect, but we only need one NFT to allow access onto the platform, which means I am going to migrate one of those NFTs. And the function should ask the user to allow if the user wants to move an NFT from your previous wallet to the new wallet, okay? So you're gonna see all that. This is very cool. And finally, we are going to provide the function in the front end. So when the user obtains N2DR tokens from, let's say, those 250 N2DRs that we will issue right when the user first builds the account, we will provide the function. So if the user wants to move those tokens to the personal wallet, they'll just click there and they are not going to even touch the MetaMask. What's going to happen on the back end? We will just send the tokens to the MetaMask wallet, okay? And the user will have the tokens in their personal wallet. All right, cool. All right, so we have the web front end. I think we're 25% there, right? Okay, so we got the entire page, okay? This is the entire application ready to go. We are just going to configure the smart contract, build that smart contract, and let's go ahead and continue the fun because this application is going to serve us for a lot of the applications that we are going to be building in this channel. All right, let's do it. All right. I hope that you learned a lot in the web front end piece of this tutorial because we need to understand where is each function going to be interacting with the HTML piece, okay? Because we need to either show information to the end user or two, we have to provide the connectivity between the JavaScript functions and the web interface itself, okay? So that's it for this video. I hope that you loved what we have been doing so far in this amazing tutorial. If you do, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to. Hey, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.